which is the one that is going to control all the access points that I'm going to have on my network. So we're going to put like, let's say 2 wireless controllers, right? No, 1 wireless controller. Sorry about that. 1 wireless controller and then 2 access points. So the wireless controller will be controlling all the access points that we have in our network, which is going to be 2 access points. And then the next thing is going to be the PC. Like, we're going to add 1 PC that we're going to use to manage all the wireless controller using the, what you call, the browser, right? The Chrome browser. Yes. So now let me go ahead and then just add my server. So I'll start with the server. So you go to the end devices. So this is the packet tracer. This is 8.0, the latest version, packet tracer 8.0, right? Okay, so let me grab my server. There is a server. You just click on the device that you want to add on your topology. So you click on it, like, okay, let me go choose my next device, which is the switch. So I clicked on the network devices, and then if you hover on these devices down here, it will show you, okay, this is a router, this is a switch. All switches, you find them here. What you call the hubs are there, wireless devices. But for now, I want a switch, right? So I click them. There are so many switches to choose from, right? I will just grab the basic one, which is the 2960. So I have this 2960, which is going to interconnect all the devices that we're going to have in this network. Okay, so, and then the next one will be the wireless controller. So I'm going to choose, there's so many wireless controllers here, like there's the WLC wireless LAN controller, but I want to choose the 35. I want to go for the 3504 wireless LAN controller, right? And then I will need a device now, an end device, which can be a laptop or a PC that I will use to manage this wireless LAN controller. As you can see, if I hover on it there, it shows me the interfaces that it has, and then the MAC address of that specific interface. And then it already comes in with the management, what I call the management IP address, which is the management says they're up, and then the IP address is 192.168.1.1/28, which is the management IP address. You're going to use that IP address for managing the wireless LAN controller. But I'm going to change that because I'll be running my network on a 10.0.0.0, which is a /8. So that's the network that I'm going to be running on. So I'm going to change that 192 to a 10. Okay, let's go ahead, man. Let's go to the server and then configure the server. So static, I want to manually assign an IP address to this default gateway, right? So yes, we're doing this live, man. Like, if you have any questions, then you can ask me all the questions, and then yeah, I will try to answer all the questions if I have the answer. If I don't have the answer, then I'll fire up Bing, and then I'll fire up Bing or Chrome and then check it out and then be able to answer you. Okay, and then now that's the IP address 10.0.0.10. So this is the IP address of these default gateway. No, I don't want to do this. Where am I? Fast Ethernet. Yes, I want to come here. I want to be here, and then at 10. Okay, let me go back to the settings. Yes, not well. I want to go back. I want to come back here. This is the default gateway. No, I want to assign. Okay, before I even start doing this, let me connect these devices to the switch, right? Like, so you can go to the this lightning sign there, and then you can click on it, and then it will automatically choose which cable way to plug this interface on, right? So there it shows for me that specific one. So on the switch is 50/1 and then 50 there on the server. Okay, let me do that. But if you let me I want to connect my wireless local area, my wireless controller, so I can use a copper crossover cable and then plug it on G01, and then plug it this side on G01. There we have okay, it's connected. Now my wireless controller is connected to the switch. I also need to connect my my laptop. So if you're not sure which cable to use, you can click on this one, and then automatically it will decide, it will choose which cable to use for you, right? Okay, there You see now it shows what the copper straight through cable. Okay, so all my four devices are connected together. So now I have to I have to configure a DHCP server. So I need to configure a DHCP server. Okay, let me go to fast Ethernet. I'm on this interface, which is F0. Now I have to assign an IP address to this interface manually, which is 10.0.0.0.10. Right, and then I need the subnet mask, which is 255.0.0.0, which is a /8, right? And then I go to services because I want to configure a DHCP. So HTTP by default is enabled on this server, but DHCP it is okay. Sorry, let me go back. I said HTTP it is manual. It is by default it is enabled, and then the DHCP it is off by default, right? So you have to switch it on. So I usually switch it on before I start configuring it. Like I've seen some people, they'll configure a DHCP server and then once they start switching it on, they find out that this DHCP server is not issuing out IP addresses to the devices just because they forgot to switch it on here, right? So what I do, I start by switching on the DHCP server, right? So now the pool name, right? So we have we need to assign a pool name. If you were using the router to configure a DHCP, the command was going to be like IP DHCP pool, and then you give it a name, assign a name, right? So on this side, by default, we already have one name assigned to this default pool, right? So I want to my start IP address. I want my IP address. I want this DHCP to start issuing out IP address from 100, right? It's up to you. You can decide, okay, what do you want to do, or how do you want to design your network, or which number do you want to start with, right? So for me, say even if I want to say, okay, start from 10, I can do that, right? But I just want to say, okay, my start IP address is from 100, and then yeah, issue out IP address starting from 100. Okay, so and then here I need, it says WLC address, so I have to assign the IP address of the wireless controller, which is a 10.0.0. IP address. Let me put it, give it 11. So we have IP address that is 11 for the wireless LAN controller. So a wireless LAN controller is the one that is going to be controlling everything, to be controlling all the access points that I have in my network, right? Okay, so the access point is the controller is the IP address. So if my controller is an IP address, what's the next thing now? Am I missing out anything here? I have to save this. Okay, there we have saved it, right? Start IP address 100, subnet mask 255.0.0.0, max user 512, and then the WLAN, the wireless controller address. There it is. Okay, let me close that. And then now on this side, right, like what do I have? Let me see what do I have on this side there. Okay, now I go to my PC. Okay, let me start with my wireless controller and then manually assign the IP address to it. Okay, there is the, let me zoom in. This is the back of the wireless controller, right? So these are the ports, like the RJ45 ports. Okay, so gigabit, these are the interfaces that it has, like up to 5 interfaces, but I want to go to the management part because this is the IP address that I have here is the one that I'm going to use to access the wireless controller via the browser on my laptop, right? 10.0.0. I assigned it, yeah, give it a 11, right, via the DHCP server. So okay, 0.0.0, there we go. And then it usually wants me to assign an IP a default IP address. So let me just say 10.0.0.254, right? And then maybe let me just put a DNS server 10.0.0.10. So this server, the server is going to be my DNS server, my domain name service domain name server. Okay, let me let's close that part, and then now go to my laptop, and then go to config, IP address, first Ethernet. So look for first Ethernet 0. So I don't want to manually assign an IP address. I want this device to request for an IP address from a DHCP server. All right. So okay, you see, so we said our start IP address is a .100. So this is the first IP address that is issued out by the DHCP server, issuing it to the to this laptop. So that's our first IP address. Cool. So we have that IP address. Now let me close that part. Okay, and then now I have all this. So what is am I missing out? So now let's say I want to manage this wireless controller. So this is our small network, right? Let's say the company was just been hired by a small company, and then they want us to configure a wireless LAN controller with 2 access points. So now we have gone through the stages of connecting the devices together. So now what we want to do is we want to remotely manage the wireless controller using the Chrome browser. So we have to go inside this browser, this laptop, and then click on the desktop tab, and then look for the browser, which can be Chrome, which can be any browser, and then type in the IP address of the wireless controller so that we can manage that or remotely access that. 10 dot that's a 10, right? Now it's 11 because a 10 is the IP address of the server. Okay, so and then say go, and he has to take us to login portal for the wireless controller. So he has to take us to the login portal of the wireless controller. Let's wait. Why is it taking time? Okay, this is packet tracer. I don't know why is it taking so much time. It's not supposed to take so much time. Okay, let me say enter. Okay, first maybe before I do this, let me ping the access point. Let me say ping to test for connectivity, right? 10.0.0. That was a what? 11, right? So let's see if there is any connection between the two devices. Are they able to communicate? Okay, one packet is lost. Okay, there is connection between the two devices. There is communication. Okay, let me tell you 10. This is the IP address of the server. So my laptop is able to communicate with all these two devices. So now, why am I not getting the? Okay, let me say web browser. Go back to the browser and type in the IP address of the wireless controller, 10.11. Go in and then say go. Hostname unresolved. 10.0.0.11. So now we need to troubleshoot, right? This is a live recording. So, okay. And then it's a good time for us now to troubleshoot until we find out what really is the problem. Because this PC must be able to communicate or must be able to access this, the wireless controller via this browser. So go to start with the server, say the DHCP is on, everything is on there, and then come to this device management IP address, which is a 10.0.0.11, right? And then so why are we not able to go to settings, wireless LAN control? That's the name of the device. Settings, come on, interfaces, management .11. Okay, and then okay, finally let me go to this device because we're supposed to be able to access that. Say 10.0.0.11, right? Then end go. So we're able to ping that wireless local area network, and then we must be able to, okay, finally, there's an issue with the packet tracer. It wasn't me at all, right? So if our configurations were correct. So now admin. So now, welcome. Please start by creating an admin account. So you have to create an admin account. This admin account is the one that we're going to use to access or configure a wireless LAN controller. So we need to create that account. So my password, let me say Cisco 123, right? And then confirm the password Cisco 123. So we configure that, and then let me say start. Okay, so now we have this wireless portal, right? Wireless LAN controller portal where we can configure the wireless LAN controller. So now system name, what is our system name? I can just say this is a WLC, right? Wireless controller. And then what else do I need? Okay, if you want to change the time here, you can do that, but I don't know why is it not allowing me to do that. Alaska, Pacific, Central Time, US, Canada. Okay, management IP address. I'm interested in this part. Management IP address. Which one is our management IP address? Which is a 10.0.0, which is the IP address of the wireless control LAN. 11, and then which subnet is it on? It's on 255.0.0.0, which is a /8. And then default gateway, do I want to configure that? Let me just add the default gateway. We said our default gateway is a 10.0.0.254. Okay, we have it there. And then next, a packet trace. Say next. What is it that I left out? Network name. Okay, network name. Let's say now, what is the network name? Wi-Fi. Let me say maybe Cisco 1, right? This is Cisco 1, and then we have WPA2 personal and then WPA2 enterprise. So WPA2 personal, it will ask us for the passphrase only, which is the password, right? So we only have to type in the password. But now the WPA2 enterprise, we need to have like a AAA server so that the wireless LAN controller will receive the username and password and then takes that information and give it to AAA server and then check if it has your the AAA has your information on the system. So now we don't have that AAA server. So the one that we're going to use is the WPA2 personal, which let's put a password for your Wi-Fi. I wanna use Cisco 3. Cisco 1, 2, 3. Okay, VLAN, do I want to change there anything? No. So my network name is Cisco 1, and then next. Please match this format. So that means my password doesn't match, so I have to fix that, right? So Cisco. Okay, let me delete that. Cisco 2, 3. Cisco 2, 3. Passphrase, confirm passphrase are not matching. What do you mean that my passphrase is not matching? Just Cisco 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me try to change that again. Okay, 2, 3. Then that's it. Cisco 2, 3. And then passphrase are not matching. What's that? Like, seriously? Okay, let me try again. Cisco 2, 3. Cisco 2, 3. Okay, finally, after a long struggling to get the IP address, the password to match. Okay, now what I need to do I want to change this virtual IP address? No, don't change, just leave it like that. Okay, for my environment, for our environment that we have now here, we don't have to change that. But if in your work environment we have to change that, then yes, of course, go ahead and change it. Right. Okay, there's a passphrase. What do you want to do now? Please confirm settings and apply. So username is admin, right? System name, WLC, country, United States, US date and time, 2nd of the 9th of Feb 2021, time zone Eastern Time, US Canada, no network time server configured. management IP address, which is the IP address of the wireless controller, management subnet, there, all the information, employee network, so we have the network name Cisco _1, right? And then WPA2, and then the password is there, TCP server address, so we didn't assign a TCP server address. Okay, now let's say apply. It says system will reboot. These settings are applied, right? Click OK to apply. Yes, we want to apply, and then the system will reboot. Okay, so now we have configured a network wireless controller, right? So we have managed to configure a wireless controller. So let me close this dialog box and then come back to, let me close also this. So now we have configured this wireless LAN controller using this PC. So this laptop is our management PC, like it's the PC that we use to manage the wireless LAN, right? Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go back now. I'm sure it's done. But now when we're connecting back to the wireless controller, we have to use the HTTPS. If you use HTTP, it won't give you access. So HTTPS : and then work, and then the IP address of that wireless controller, then which is 10.0.0. So dot what? I forgot. Okay, .11, and then go. Click on go. There we are. Okay, so login. Now, authentication required. What is your admin password, right? A username. So it was admin, that's the username, and then password was Cisco. I hope I get it right, because I got it wrong, like invalid username or password. Also, what the heck is going on? Let's say admin, say Cisco 23. Let me see. So remember, we had issues when I tried to log into this device. So now, what happened there? Let me say Cisco, and then invalid password. So something is wrong. I don't know. I said that was my password. Admin Cisco. Please. Oh snap. Now I can't get my password correct. Like, what the heck went wrong now? Okay guys, let me quickly take out this. Let me delete this and then put another one so I can be able to access this wireless LAN controller, because now I just lost access to this device, right? Delete. You want to delete the wireless controller? Yes, because I lost access to that device. Now the question is, what will happen in a work environment or production environment if you forget your password? So I'm sure the devices come with a reset button at the back, the one that you can use to reset, and then the wireless controller will go back to default settings, right? 3504. I'm not sure on packet tracer do we have like the reset button there. Okay, now I have to re-plug this device to the switch. So, and then you see it's amber, or what is this? Is it orange? So it's going through STP, spanning tree protocol, which is a protocol that allows the switch to decide the switch ports to decide which port becomes the boss of the jungle, right? So let's wait for it to change. Okay, let me just go to the spin and then configure this. Okay, let me configure a 10 dot. Okay, let me quickly do this. A 10.0.0. Was it 11, right? And then down here must be a 0.0.0. Okay, so now let me go back to this device and then try to configure that 10.0.0.11. No, it's a live recording, man. This was supposed to go smoothly, but things will go like things like this will happen in a production network, right? Like you're gonna have problems like this. So I'm glad this happened, right? So yeah, let me say admin. Okay, as you guys can see now, my username is admin. My password is, let me say, no, let me do this. Let me change my password. Okay, let me change my password. Okay, I have a new password. Okay, system name, let me say WLC, and then United States, time zone, US, Canada. I'm just changing that part. Yeah, 10.0.0.11. That is the management IP address. We have gone through this, so I will quickly just rush through it. 255 dot, no, not 255 dot 0.0.0, and then default gateway 10.0.0.254, and then next, and then the network name, right? We need to create a network name. What's our network name? We said Cisco -1. Okay, and then passphrase. What's our passphrase for this network? Let me do this. Well, there we go. There's my password. Management VLAN. Am I changing that? Let me add it. I want to add a guest network, right? Usually, can I add? Hey, it doesn't want to add a guest network. Okay, let me next. Virtual IP address. Fine, I don't want to change that. And then check the information there. Management IP address, management VLAN ID 0, Cisco is the network name, and then apply. It says I'll be kicked out after this. Rebooting. System is rebooting. Okay, let's hope now we'll be able to log in to the Wi-Fi. Not to the Wi-Fi, to the LAN controller, right? Let me come back here. Web browser. We said now it's HTTPS and then web 10.0.0.11, right? And then go, please. Okay, there is the login portal. Let's say login, and then my password was admin. Now my username is admin, and then password. Come on, don't deny me. Yeah, finally I'm in. Okay, so last time my password was wrong, and then I forgot what my password was, right? So now you can see here we have okay, so this is our wireless controller, right? We are on the wireless controller. This is how it's going to look like. This is how it looks like in the real world, right? Like this is how a wireless controller looks like. So now I like how what you call packet tracer have displays this, right? Because this is exactly how you're gonna how it looks like in the real world. But now down here on the access point summary, we don't have the access points that we are managing. We're supposed to see maybe 2 or 3 access points, right? So there's no, like, this wireless controller is not managing any what you call the access points. So we have to add 2 access points, as we said that in the beginning, that we are going to add 2 access points that the wireless LAN controller is going to manage. But for now, there is nothing. So what we want to do now is we want to add a wireless controller. Okay, not a wireless controller. Sorry about that. It's because the wireless controller already exists, right? We have one, but we don't have anything to manage. So we need to add a lightweight access point, right? Which we are going to manage, right? So I'm going to add lightweight access point. There we go. Look for, no, on these devices. There is wireless down here, and then there is a lightweight access point. Okay, I want the lightweight. I don't want this one. So I just want to go for these two lightweight access point. Let me click on this one and then delete that access point, right? Yes, I want to delete that. And then I add two access points. Okay, so we have now two access points. And then now we need to add the interfaces, right? So plug this access point to the switch, which is, we say the switch is our central device. Okay, so there, connect it to the switch, and then the next access point to the switch. But you see, this interface is red now. So if it was a router, then we're going to go inside the router and then type in the interface name, which is interface gig 0. And then after that, we type in the IP address of the interface. After we say no shut, or even without an IP address, we type in no shut command to switch on the interface, right? Because now it's manually down. So these are lightweight access point. What happens with them now? So when we plug them in, right? So we can sometimes we use the power over Ethernet cable, which automatically powers the transfers data and then also powers the lightweight access point. So now we have a power plug here. So let me go to we have to power on this device, right? Let me drag it to the side so you can see it live when it changes there. So zoom in. So this is our access point, right? The back of the access point. There you see this slot, like we have the PoE, which is power over Ethernet. There is no plug in there. And then we have this power slot there. So here's a charger here. So we just grab the charger, plug it in, and then you see it changes this side. Now we have powered the access point, right? Can close that. Do the same thing with the next access point. Let me just zoom in again so you can see there's the charger, there's the power plug, and then power the device. You see it changes down there. Okay, so now the next thing that we need to do now, this guy needs to be able to communicate with the wireless LAN controller, or also request for an IP address from the DHCP server. So now let's go to config and then look for this interface. Configuration are not available. Okay, settings, and then let's say gateway DNS. Why do we still don't have there? Because we need an IP address. Say it's static, and then DHCP gateway DNS IPv4 default gateway static. I wanna configuration are not available. So why don't we have any configurations on this device? So we're done with that. Config. Okay, I don't know what's happening there because it's supposed to show me the interface. Okay, let me go back and check which they look for. LAPT. Yeah, I must have say exact. Okay, let me check on this one. Maybe still booting up. It takes time sometimes. Configure is nothing. What about this one? Still nothing there on the interface. I will say DHCP gateway DNS. And then okay, cool. Let me check again. Okay, nothing, but let me try to hover on this and see if we have any info. Beautiful. So it says gigabit Ethernet is up, and then there's an IP address. So he now has an IP address, but if you look at the CAPE WAP status, it says not connected. So the CAPE WAP is a language of love between the access point and then the wireless controller. So now they need to communicate and share some information. Let me check on this one. So you see now on this one, they have the access point and then the wireless controller. They've been able to communicate. They've been able to communicate. So if you check the care POP status, says connected to 10.0.0.11. So the access point is designed or programmed to look for an wireless controller in a network, right? Like once you plug it into a network, it will say, okay, who's my network controller? If there's none, then okay, something happens. So he says, okay, I've managed to communicate with the wireless local controller, right? Wireless LAN controller. So now he has an IP address, which his IP address is 102. And then his IP address, let's check, it's a 103, but he still hasn't communicated with the wireless LAN controller. It takes time, right? Like they go through the processes, and then it takes time. So he will get that information. Providing WLANs, Cisco. So the wireless local area network is Cisco -1. Let's see. Let's wait for this guy to communicate with the big guy there. All right. Now let's go back to the PC and see if this what you call the wireless controller has managed to get communicate with the access point summary. So now here, this number has to change now, right? Because one access point has been able to communicate with the wireless controller. So here the number has to change. Let's refresh this. Refresh. Okay, nothing's happening. Let's close and then reconnect to this device, web browser, and then https work and then 10.0.0.11, right? And then enter. Now we need the login credentials now, which was admin, and then yes, that was Cisco. Let's go in. You see down here it is changed. It says total 1 access point. So he has managed to connect with 1 access point, but we have 2 access points. What is going on with the other access point? Let's check if he has managed to. Let's check if. So still there's nothing with he hasn't managed to communicate with the access point, with the controller. It will take time though, but now it has taken much time. I thought it would be done by now. So okay, let's keep waiting. Okay, let's go back to this guy and then go through the information that we have here. So he's managing 1 access point, right? The other one still has to be able to he has to communicate with the controller, right? And then WLANs. Let's check what we have this side on the WLANs. Click on the one. So it shows you information about this wireless WLAN that we have created. And then security, if you want to change that, like we're using security or WPA2 policy, and then ask for passwords, and then layer 3, any layer 3 security, and then we have AAA servers. We don't have any AAA server. QoS, quality of service. You want to assign more data to a certain device. Maybe it's a VoIP, voice over IP. Let's say anytime when someone picks up the call, picks up the phone, so more data, more bandwidth will be allocated to that device, because it is doing what we call the live communication. So it needs more bandwidth when the person is communicating and stuff like that. You can configure the QoS, right? General, and then controller. Let's go through controller tab. So it shows you information about this controller. And then wireless. We have managed to connect to 1 lightweight access point, right? Let me try to refresh. Maybe that other one is connected. Let me go back and check. Oh, so I saw some changes there. What was that? Okay, only still 1. Okay, let me hover on this one. Still, it hasn't managed to communicate with the wireless controller. I don't know why is that. Lightweight access point. Okay, we have 1 that is connected to the wireless controller. This guy is having trouble communicating with the wireless controller. Keep WAP status not connected. But he has the IP address, so nobody told him about the controller. So nobody told him about the controller now. Okay, let me come back this side and check. Okay, we have wireless, we have that, and then security. IP address, radius authentication server. So if you have the radius authentication server, so people when they're logging into this Wi-Fi, what happens is the wireless controller will take their username and password and then send it to the AAA server. The AAA server will check on the database if it has that username and that password. If it has it on the system, then the person will gain access to the server. But if that information is not on the server, then they will not gain access to the network, right? And then the management part, enabled syslog, disabled. I would like to enable syslog, system logs, message logs. Okay, this is the message log. And then the commands. Okay, let me come back here and check. Cap warp is not, still nothing. So now let's add a smart device, right? I want to add a tablet and go to end devices, add a smartphone. There's a smartphone, and then also I want to add maybe a tablet there. So these tablets must be able to connect wirelessly to these devices, right? To the access point, especially this access point, which is managed to communicate with the wireless controller there. But this one, we're going to have a problem because he hasn't managed to communicate with the wireless controller, of which I don't know what is the problem, but maybe we might have to troubleshoot that. Okay, let me. Okay, and then now go to the smart device, try to connect it to the Wi-Fi, and then go to config. When I connect the smartphone, okay, let me drag it this out so you can see what happens here when this device connects to the access point. Smartphone, where is the wireless part? So wireless SSID. SSID stands for Site Service Identifier, which is the Wi-Fi name, right? Our Wi-Fi name is Cisco -1. And then what was the password? Now WPA2. The authentication that we used was WPA2, and then we need a password now. So the password is what was my password? I forgot my password now. Can I say okay? Let me try this. So let's wait for it and see what happens now. Boom! That is beautiful. So you see, this device now is managed to connect to the light access point, right? To the our lightweight access point, to our AP. Managed to connect to our AP. All right, let's try this. This is our tablet. So now, so this is basically like you going through your maybe your user's phone, and then or maybe the user, you tell them okay, they have to connect to this specific network, and then once you say okay, we go to wireless, you tell them okay, our SSID or our Wi-Fi name is our Wi-Fi company name is Cisco-1, right? And then you give them the password and say okay, here's our password. Log into our Wi-Fi name, to our Wi-Fi, and then wait and see. You will see this now connecting to the. Let's wait for the magic to happen. Wait for it. Please don't boom. You see now this device is managed to directly connect to this, right, to the access point. So the other thing that we can do now, let's check if he managed to. Okay, let me go to the server, and then on the server go to https what is on, and then let's say no, let me go to DNS name, let's say cisco.com, right? I want that to resolve it for me, and then address is a 10.0.10, and then I want to add that to the network, add it there. Okay, come to this and see to be able to. And then command prompt. Now I have to go to command prompt. No, not command prompt. Where's the browser? MIB. Other thing doesn't have a browser. Terminal or web browser. Sorry, I was looking for. I thought it's so. Let me say Cisco.com. Look, resolve that for me. Um, let's see, config, and then desktop. Let me say close that. IP address. Oh, it doesn't have a DNS name. That's why. Sorry, no one was going to resolve that for him, right? But he has managed to connect to our wireless access point. Now let's check this guy. I don't know what's happening with him. Let's try to change and plug in another device because he's not connecting it at all. Let's see. Okay, let's plug it in because I don't know what happened with that one. Okay, and then start from switch, and then power it on, power it up, and then ta-da! Let's go through the step. Give it some time. Okay, this is our wireless management platform. Say help. This feature is not supported in packet tracer. Okay, monitor my network. So now I have added another access point, remove that one. So here the number is supposed to change once that one kicks in or once that one start communicating with our server, right? Okay, let's check like this, hover on it. Okay, look for an IP address, DHCP, let's say DHCP. Okay, let's see if he's getting an IP. Okay, he got an IP address, which is 10.0.0.108. So now he has to communicate with the wireless controller, which is the CAP WAP, using the CAP WAP communication there, right? As you can see this side, this guy has managed to communicate with the wireless controller, and then he received all the information from the wireless controller. So this one, boom, finally this one is managed to communicate with the, I don't know what was wrong with the previous device that we put there. It took time, it took forever to communicate with the wireless controller, but this one is managed to communicate with the wireless controller. You can see CAP WAP status connected to 10.0.0.11 providing WLAN. So now let's go to Chrome and then check if how many access points this guy is managed to connect with. So let me do this. Down here it still says 1. Let's refresh this. You see it picked up. Now it says 2. See, it says now it's picked up 2 wireless access point. Let's go to wireless and see if we can pick up. You see now lightweight access points we have 2, which are 108 and then 102. So now the other thing is, let's say this access point is down. We have another access point, so these devices will be able to switch to the other access point. For example, let's say you have managed 2 floors in your network, and then this access point is on first floor, this other access point is on second floor. So now when this guy moves to the second floor, they have, maybe let's say this one is far now, this access point is far. The phone must be able to switch to this access point, or if this interface is down, these devices must be able to switch and then connect to this one. So now what I want to do is I want to deactivate this line and see if these two guys will be able to connect to the access point, this access point that we have there. So let's kill this interface and see. Wait for it, wait for magic. Boom! Ah, that is beautiful, man. Look at that. So they have switched to that other access point. This is nice. Okay, now I want to check out the physical, right? I want to show you the rack, how this looks like on a rack. So how is it nicely stacked on the rack? Okay, let me say zoom in, and then you can see here. This is, let me zoom in. Zoom out. Okay, so you can see here is our rake, right? So this is how it's going to look. So in our server room, or yeah, in our server room, this is what we're going to have in our server rooms, right? We will have this power distribution device, the part, and then all these devices will be plugged into this part, right? So here is our a server. Here is our server 0, and then down here, this is our switch, right, with all the ports there, which is the device that interconnects all these devices. And then here we have the WLC controller, which is the wireless LAN controller, and then we have the access point here, and then the other LAN access point down there. So this is our rake. So it's going to look like this on our rakes. Okay, cool. Now if you want to see, inspect the front, you can do that. Zoom in, inspect the front. I'm gonna do the same with the access point. Oh no, cancel. Okay, yes, I want to inspect the front. So you can check the front. Okay, there's a cable plugged into this interface there. And then now if you also, someone said if you want to, you can change the colors of these cables, right? Manage the cable color. No, unmanage. Okay, what did I just do? Unmanage. Okay, I think color cable. Now make it black. No, it won't look nice. Like, let me make it look that yellow. I think yellow. See, color is changed. I don't know why I'm even changing the colors. Maybe I don't know why. Maybe to easily identify them. And okay, by colors or whatever. Okay, fine. There is our network. Let's go back to logical. Physical. This is how it's going to look like on our server room. Right. This is how the devices sit on our server room. And then logical. Now I'm back to this. Okay.